Hello, Warlords! Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. I'm your host, Rodge, joined by Monty once again. How are you, bud?
Excellent, Rodge. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. So, we've had a busy October, so I believe I haven't gotten my Invasions book yet, but it's out there. It's released, right?
It is released, and it's already showing up in the U.S. to some lucky people. Not everyone yet, but some.
Okay, cool. Good deal. Yeah, I'll have to head down. Usually I order it through my local store, so I got to give them a couple weeks to let it show up in all the databases, and then I'll order my own book. So looking forward to that. For this episode here, Monty, we're just dedicated 100% to the new Saga 2021 frequently asked questions. Does that sound good,
Yes,
buddy?
yes, that's fabulous.
Okay, so we've got limited time. We're going to devote it entirely to tackling this monstrosity, this beast. It's not too bad. Just some clarifications, right, Monty?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, cool. Well, let's jump into it. And why don't we start with the rule book here? So we're not going to, I'm assuming how this is going to work is we'll start out talking about everything. And then by the end, we'll be glossing over big chunks of new things as we get fatigued here. But we'll start with the rule book. So not much going on here. Monty, there are a few changes, though. What do we have to know about here?
Yeah, you want to start with javelins? I thought it was pretty small. It was pretty small, and it was a little bit of a surprise to me. But as I understand it, what they're spelling out here in the FAQ on javelins is that the free shoot can kind of be banked. I don't know if there's a better way to say that. You know, I used to read it that if you have a javelin and it's your turn and you move, that you would immediately have to follow up with your free javelin shoot. But I read this and I believe you can bank it, you could save it, it's there, and maybe you want to come back to it later after some other things. I myself haven't quite sussed out exactly how to maximize that, but I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, you don't have to pop the javelins immediately. And so I think the reason they put this in there, and you can see the little red text down there, you know, in the case of multiple activation, do you get to take a break during the multiple activation sequence to throw the javelins? That was a question. Shots. And then also, and Mike DeManis raised this when he was here in July, if there's an activation reaction that interrupts the sequence of just a movement before they can shoot, can they shoot later? Or, how did that work? It wasn't necessarily clear. So this kind of just clarified that that's the intent behind the javelin. So that's pretty cool. Something to keep in mind. I'm sure with my javelin troops, I'll just be throwing them immediately. 98% of the time anyways. But you can move them up, see what happens, see how that combat goes before you commit to throwing at one unit versus the other, perhaps. So kind of cool. Some more flexibility there. I'm going to pop down to composite bows. That's the second of, I guess, the third three things here. So the composite bows were changed a little bit. So before you got free shots, but if you use a Saga ability to activate some shooting, that wasn't a free shot, specifically spelled out in the rules for composite bows. So, those could generate a fatigue if you'd already moved or done some other things. So this basically just removes that. And if you have Saga abilities that activate them for a shoot, they will not generate the fatigue. Is that right?
That is correct.
I had to look at it real close one last time before I led the people astray. So that's kind of cool. I haven't played any boards that really have composite bows, so I don't know offhand if this makes anything better. We have to go back to the Huns, I guess, and see what's going on with those guys.
Yeah, and I actually played the Huns not that long ago, and I don't remember if this came into play. I will say composite bows are a little tricky. The troops are kind of vulnerable. It's something I'd like to play a little bit more. I certainly am quite raw, quite green when it comes to running the few warbands that do this. The Mongols, the Saracens, the Huns. Might be another one stuck in there, but those are the top that popped in my mind.
Cool, yeah. So, nice little bonus for those. I mean, we definitely weren't seeing them a lot, so any help they can get sounds good to me. And Monty, I'll let you do the third and tastiest.
Right? Yeah, people like this one. This to me has shades of Age of Magic, where you could take half of a point of different troop types and then slam it in a different area. So they say specifically you can, after you assemble your warband, you can remove 2 Hearthguard, replace them with 4 warriors or 6 levy, remove 4 warriors, replace with 2 Hearthguard or 6 levy, remove 6 levy, replace with 2 Hearthguard or warriors. So to me, the real key, the real interesting thing in here is Hearthguard, because as you and I have talked about in a prior episode, are Hearthguard worth it? One of the hardest things with Hearthguard is your choices before this FAQ was you could run your Hearthguard in a 4-pack or an 8-pack. And the issue sometimes can be is in the world of Saga, an 8-pack of Hearthguard is a juicy target for warbands that can launch little nuclear strikes. And so you'd always struggle. You're like, well, do I put them in an 8-pack and hide them back and wait for the right moment? Well, here's the solution. Instead of running it as an 8-pack, how about running your Hearthguard as a 6-pack?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the first thing in everybody's minds. And then just to back it up a little bit, so this is an optional errata that you can use. But this is brilliant. I want to use this like every time or have it available. I'm kind of upset that I didn't think of it for like Adepticon or our events or something. Like it's kind of obvious, like, because the Age of Magic, they basically have this somewhat. So this is really cool. I'm excited about this. This really takes the warband building. You can kind of go back to the old warbands. Is there something I could do here to run it a little differently? And so you talk about the 6 Hearthguard. The other option is, I can see it for warriors and levy for all of these. For warriors in my Eastern Princes build that I was running, I wanted 12 warriors, but I didn't want the other 4-pack of warriors. So I could take Hearthguard levy and take the 1 unit of 12 warriors with the heavy weapons with this setup, get exactly what I want. That would be awesome. And then I think with the levies, you can do some cool things. You can just take the 6 levies if you want. Sometimes that'll be useful, come in handy. Otherwise, I don't know, like 1.5 of levies, 18, like 2 units of 9.
Yep.
That could be pretty good. That's almost as good as 2 units of 12. Like, if you're looking for shooters, if you could sneak in a few more warriors, that seems more tasty, or get the 6 Hearthguard. So I'm pretty pumped about this. I like this a lot.
Agree. 100% agree. Some nice options.
We gotta throw it in the Adepticon rules, Monty? We were just talking.
Well,
did you put it in there yet?
Just before we started the show, without mentioning names, I was talking about the difficulty in getting some of the leads' eyes on the topics and subjects. So we could certainly kick this one around and raise it up, but we're not the deciders. So
we'll escalate it.
Yes, we'll escalate it. A very unsatisfying answer.
Okay, but very cool. Definitely recommend. Around here, I'm just gonna be like, this is what we're doing. So
I like it.
they go to an event where we can't do it, then we'll be sad that we can't do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, so short and sweet for the main rule book. And I like that. Book of Battles. I'll just talk about the one change.
Yep.
Where capturing an objective. So we've seen something like this in tournament packs, but they've added a line that if you capture the objective, it can only be activated during its owner's turn and never during an opponent's turn for any reason. So just built right in there with those activation reaction warbands. Can't scoot off the board. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you needed that in there. And in fact, I had seen chatter where people had spotted and shared like little tricks, kind of exploiting both mounted units, their footprints, and then, being able to move in your opponent's turn. So specifically would be like Iberians, Welsh. Don't know if there's anyone else, but those would be the two pop to mind. So yeah, that's a good change. Then we as the TOs don't need to try to nix this or stop it. It's already in the core Book of Battle FAQ.
Yeah, I agree. One less thing for the TOs to kind of have to step in and make a decision. Some people might not like this. So it's in the fact, buddy.
There you go.
And actually, one more thing. But Monty, did you see this little blurb down here? Thanks to the community for feedback. Special thanks to Andy Lyon, Northern Tempest, Saga Podcast, and the Rodge Rules YouTube channel and their Saga Thursday show. Huge thank you to John Fry, a.k.a. Ducat, for incredible help, support, and friendship. So I think Ducat may have been responsible for organizing all this. I don't know that 100%, but I think that's the case. So that's cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks to those guys for the mention. Very cool. And so, Book of Battles, short and sweet. Let's go to Age of Vikings here.
It's a fast one, too.
And, just one change. And I'll let you tackle that one, Monty.
Yeah. So, Yom's Viking Battle Board. Interesting. I would never have guessed that they would pull up into the FAQ, but they get a small buff to their ability Song of Steel. That's their ability where you can spend 1 to 6 wrath tokens. And here's the real key. So you read it. I was reading it side by side, and you read the two, and you're like, gosh, these are really close. Am I missing something? And the key is that, oh man, I don't have the old version in front of me. The key is that the units now count as javelin armed until the end of the turn. And previously, I think it just said, like, take a movement as if you were javelin armed. So essentially...
Yes. So it kind of... Like, it did require some kind of clarification, which I thought, was posted on... Maybe I saw on the forum or on the Facebook group. But before, they just count as being armed with javelins when they move. So if you... The strictest reading in that, well, it's just during the move, they can't shoot because that's a different activation. So I think it needed some kind of clarification, but you're right. They clarified it by having it be javelins for the end of the turn. So not only can you shoot, but if you want to pop Fury of the Pagans and get those guys charging in, you get a +1 to hit. Not too shabby.
Yeah, I like that. I like that part.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Part. I think that's fun and kind of themey. I think, melee, hand-to-hand combat. You want to be aggressive with the Yom's Vikings, and you want to be aggressive when you got those javelins. So, yeah, cool. Nice little buff.
Great little ability. I like that one.
Now, let's throw us out here. Monty, is there anything that you think should have been backed or changed for Vikings?
Yeah. Okay. Good point. So my personal opinion, for whatever that's worth, is that as they're kind of going around and they're kind of like picking up some of the more, let's call them more downtrodden factions and boards and giving them a couple buffs. I guess I would like to have seen the Vikings one, because number one, the Vikings, first of all, they're the favorite of the new players, and so you're combining their new players, and the board is
so literally the Vikings battle board. You want it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, a little buff there, especially since like our new guys are running that. A little something in there just to jazz them up just a tiny bit. But you know what? There will be future FAQs, and maybe one day, if they hear our lamentations, they will maybe they throw them something too.
Yeah.
How about you, Rodge?
Well, that's a good point. So it always comes back to, is this an ongoing like power balance, like forever? Right. We're going to keep juggling these back and forth, Right. So it looks like 2 years ago, like 2019, it looks like that was the intent, to kind of just buff things, not necessarily just clarify things. But now, on this one, maybe you could go a little further, but they're just calling it. I don't know. I'm fine with it kind of staying as is. I think the Vikings book balance is probably pretty good. I mean, you're going to have there are stronger factions, and there are weaker factions, and no matter what they do, it's not going to be perfect. So do you try? I don't know. Since you talked about the Vikings, I kind of like that. I think the Vikings could use some kind of activation ability nestled into one of those melee abilities. So it's an activation that charges in, so you get a little dice utility on top of just the like our little mini review. They're melee only, and you have to spend dice to get them moving. So having an ability that has a little kind of efficiency with it, where you get a melee bonus and you get to move, charge, something like that could be cool. And yeah, I think your point, a lot of the newbies do start and end with the Vikings. So maybe if the Vikings were a little stronger, they'd have more fun and they would stick around, or I don't know.
Right.
But otherwise, the Welsh are still on top, I would say.
Yes, they are.
But I guess that's okay. So,
yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer there, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Maybe do like one hard pass on it. Try your best to fix any issues, and then after that, then it's just truly kind of clarifications. That might be a good approach.
Yeah.
But the Crusades came out, and that wasn't the approach taken there.
Right.
So why don't we jump to the Crusade? So we're getting more changes.
Yep.
Peter the Hermit, Monty. Everybody's favorite fellow.
Yeah.
What do you
go ahead?
I'm surprised it was in here. I guess it's kind of an optional thing anyways. So
exactly,
take it or leave it.
That's my thought. The legendary stuff they admit up front. So in a way, I heard a little bit of grumbling. They didn't think that it got nerfed enough, but I thought the easy answer is follow their guidance and don't put legendary stuff into a big competitive event.
Yeah. So with Peter, you get 2 fanatical pilgrims instead of what it was before.
All of
many
them,
more,
2 or 3 or 4.
And then there is kind of a little play there where they got to be within short of Peter to be loyal. So. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's fine.
Right?
I'm not going to worry about it. But Monty, I'm going to let you talk about the wagon here.
I like the wagon. I think there might be a wagon in Rodge's future. Right?
I think so too, yeah.
So the first thing is the price of the wagon was cut in half. That's pretty
50% off. These wagons gotta go. They're clogging up the shelves.
And I'm looking real quick, and I'm trying to see if did I miss. Oh, they gave it determination. So here's just like me as a non-Eastern Princess player. I love that it's a half point in cost. I love that it generates a saga die. I love that it now it's slow, right? But it now is self-fueled. It's going to have a determination every turn. And resilience 2, armor 6. The only small, like the little tiny caveat, nothing's perfect, right? But that it's being an armor 4 to shooting, that's really the key, is to try to shoot it off the table, probably rather than melee it. And then the second small, like, cost to this wonderful thing is that the book says it is 4 points when the unit is eliminated, and then an extra point as the unit is eliminated, if that's the kind of scenario we're playing. So it is expensive when it goes down, but boy, I like this for a half a point.
Yeah, there's a lot of efficiency for that little half point. It's pretty resilient compared to like a little 4-pack of warriors if you're hanging on the back. So, like, we kind of talked about my Eastern Princes build, and I had that 4-unit pack of warriors I didn't have anything to do with, so I can take, without even have to use the optional split, I can just take 2 points of warriors, get the 12-pack of guys with heavy weapons, and then a little wagon back there, and it'll take a little effort to get that wagon if you even try. You could just have it be a Saga Dice generator that's really tough and kind of throw it in.
It'll be a blocker, and it'll, like, if you can get it in the right spot, right? And Rodge, I know you would be able to do it. Your opponent will go to charge, and they'll be like, are you kidding me? The wagon is within charge range. I don't want to charge that. So, anytime you can mess with your opponent's plans, that's a powerful ability in Saga. And some awesome wagon models. You could certainly kit bash them, but there are some nice wagons you can buy too if you're inclined to grab one off the shelf.
True. Just that little balsa scraps. I'm inclined to go the thrifty route on this one.
Right. I suspected as much.
And then I think it's gone to War Drummer. It looks like he got the same treatment where he's a half a point.
Did. He's half a point. What a bargain. The Mongols will be very happy. They can now slam that, 4 points, I'm sorry, 4 points, try again, 4 warrior figures. They can, spend it to, buff their Hearthguard by 2 or add 6 levy. It's a nice mix.
Yeah. Such a good deal. Was, I think, definitely a no-brainer now. Probably before, but you could make the case. Maybe having 8 more warriors instead of the War Drummer could maybe serve you, but I don't know, for 4? I don't think so. I think you're taking the drummer.
Agree. Super efficient.
So the Western Knights here moving on. So let's try to parse this out. So I think the significance of the change here is now they can rest and do a move or a charge, where before you could activate them once, and if you wanted to rest, you would rest and then you'd be done. Is that?
I think so. That's the way I was reading it before. So that's the way I'm reading it now. Agree. I mean, my thing is they're really slow. There may be scenario specific. I don't know that I'd like, if I played an event where I could take them, I'd really have to study those scenarios because, boy, moving S and doing one thing a turn, that's a pretty high tax.
Yeah, with the the mounted ones, those ones are pretty.
Yeah, they are
pretty decent, though, right? So,
yeah, I've tried those.
Okay. Yep. Definitely a juicy unit. Still, you got to think kind of hard if you want to use those guys or not. And now's the time. We have to break out our existing battle boards.
Right.
Because we got some new stuff here. We're going to need the Pagan Peoples board, the Princes,
and
the Polish. Sorry, Monty.
Do you want to cover
Ordenstadt?
dude, just
not so fast. Put that Ordenstadt board back, Monty.
I'm gonna cry. No buff there. That's okay. Do you want to cover the ones that you were the expert in, the Eastern Princes and the Pagan people?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because you're so. I mean, you were masterful at both of those.
Oh, thank you, Monty. Unnecessary.
Well, if I let's see if I can beat you. That's the tough part.
Well, I'll do the Pagan Peoples one quick.
Okay.
This is it's not in the correct order, but it's the last one here. And it's just a slight change for one ability. And it just kind of slightly makes it worse. So, Leak, you can inflict a fatigue on an enemy unit. It's an order's reaction. But the addendum here is that also inflict the fatigue on my unit. Yeah. So before you could just put a fatigue on the enemy, and I don't know. Sometimes I would do that to you.
Yep.
Sometimes I wouldn't. Monty, you know this. So
yes, I do.
Just a minor weakening here. So since the unit is probably a levy unit of mine of 6, I probably don't care too much about those guys. I will probably wouldn't stop me from using the ability if I had a certain plan for it. But kind of interesting. You could have picked other abilities here if you thought the faction was too strong. So just a very minor change.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet there, Rodge. They disregarded all my suggestions, my many pages.
For every battle, Monty would fill out little slips.
Dear Studio Tomahawk.
And then, so the Eastern Princes got at least one buff here, and then one maybe buff here. So that Timorous Advance ability, I guess I'm calling backwards order here.
Yep.
So this one was 2 common dice. Yep. So it was kind of pricey, but when you pop this, usually do it on your turn, and Monty would have a unit not close to his general, and then I could use that on this unit, and then they wouldn't be able to benefit from any of the generous Crusader defense dice rerolls or bonuses or anything like that.
Right.
And so in addition to that, now, so it was kind of interesting because it didn't actually kind of do anything or make you better, but now that unit suffers a fatigue at the start of each of the melees it's engaged. Right. So I think that's fair, actually. Like, it probably was too costly before because it was too... I think for 1 dice it was fair, but for 2 dice, and it's not doing anything, you still have to use all your other dice to kind of make sure that combat goes your way with your abilities. It's kind of like this is the one combat you're going to get. Spend everything on it. So I kind of like that. And because it's at the start of each melee, so now it adds another little nuance where I hit them twice, and they'll be exhausted at the start of the second one. So I like the start of that. I'll slam the wagon in first, and then follow up with the Warlord, baby.
Oh my gosh, I can see the wheels spinning. This is terrifying.
So yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, I like it.
This almost is like you might like default plan your turns around this ability, because you don't necessarily have a lot of other attack or defense abilities to use. And this one is really good. I think it's that good now. And with 2 comments, hopefully you'll be able to pop it. And let's move on to Droog here.
Mm-hmm. I like this one too.
Much maligned. This one is interesting. Yeah. So it still has the same hero Hearthguard restrictions. The verbiage for attack dice is slightly different. So yeah, I think they changed it because now you can get attack and defense dice instead of just attack dice. So it used to be you could generate additional attack dice. So now you get double the number of figures attack dice. So if it's just Hearthguards or heroes, if it's a war, mathematically it'll work out the same, but you can use them for defense. I guess the one difference is if you're using like a priest or a some other hero, like a mercenary hero.
Okay.
So before, if you had a priest nearby, he only generates like 1 or 2 attack dice. So if you use this ability, he would only add 1 or 2 attack dice. But now he has presence, so he'll count as 4, so it should be 8. The priest will give you 8 dice, just like the warlord would.
Wow.
Does that follow, Monty?
Yeah, there presence, it is. Presence.
You count as 4.
That is correct.
So there's a little play there with the priest now, if you wanted to take one. I don't know that you would, but or some other hero.
Right.
And then if we're following it down, the other thing that's changed is the kind of the negative effect. So before, the helping unit would take fatigue or casualties, same as your unit. And then now it's 1 casualty and 1 fatigue.
Right.
So
capped.
Yeah, it's capped, but then like it will be like 1 casualty. I mean, because the play you could do is Droog and then Lords of the East. So you just take a bunch of fatigues and nobody dies in either unit. So now at least 1 person is going to go down. If the helping unit is Hearthguard. Yeah. So now this kind of pushes that helping unit to be the warlord or a hero, a priest, if we're on that train of thought. So he doesn't have to die because he can soak it up. But I don't know. I guess it's not better or worse for me, and I guess in my opinion, Monty. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like, there was a time before you and I had our little campaign when I'd read this one and I'd scratch my head. I didn't quite understand, like, why would I do this? Like, inflict casualties on myself. That seemed really quite bad, especially if you had bad luck. Like, if you didn't...
Sure,
if you didn't plan it right, like, you combine Lords of the East to try to cap that. But if other people didn't do that, they'd get bit once with a bad roll and it'd be like, oof. But I wanna think about this. I got to be honest, Rodge. Can I pitch this question to you?
Sure.
So you're a big fan of both those war bands, the Pagan People and the Eastern Princes. With the 2 buffs plus the wagon, if you were gonna play in a friendly, let's say, 3-game event, would you take your Pagan People or would you take your Eastern Princes for a spin?
If I want to be the winner, Monty, I would take the peoples.
The people.
Like, this didn't flip that or anything like that.
Okay. That was really my point. But it's still good.
Yeah, and I guess I haven't really acknowledged, I kind of glossed over the first part, but you can get attack and defense dice. So that was, it's a huge issue with the Eastern Princess board. There's no defensive abilities, and it relies heavily on Hearthguard. There's 3 or 4 of the abilities are Hearthguard only. And the Lords of the East ability, could keep them alive. After playing it, I kind of rated that higher than I thought initially, but having the ability to get a bunch of defense dice, so sometimes you could see charging in and then just saying, I'll take 8 defense dice. I'm gonna finish off your warlord, for example.
Right.
For sure, basically, but I want 8 defense dice because I want my unit to live.
Yeah.
But the flip side, you could still be causing casualties. But that's kind of cool. They definitely needed defense dice, especially for the javelin guys.
Right.
Pretty vulnerable. Didn't really have anything in the toolbox beside Lords of the East. Yeah, not complaining. I guess I was hoping there would be a change to the princes, and I think this is good enough. I guess only thing I would have done, Monty, was made Lords of the East a orders ability, so it lasts the whole turn, and you could use it against shooting.
Yeah.
Because then with the Droog ability, then there'd be some more plays. Like if you left the Droog the old way, or even with his new way, you could kind of come at it at a different angle if that was the case. But that's what I would have done.
Interesting.
But this is good enough.
Yeah.
I think should be fun, and especially with the wagon, like you say. I think between those 3 bits here, you get a lot to chew on if you're a Princess player.
Agree. Very intriguing.
So Monty, you've basically volunteered yourself for the Polish here. Have you played with or against the Polish?
Never.
So it needed a fact, basically.
Wait, I said never. I now suddenly have popped my mind. I think I played one time, and the most exciting moment in the whole game was there a moment when I hit like a levy unit, and I used Line Breaker to put the first 2 casualties on a nearby Hearthguard figure, and that was the best. But that was the best moment in the game. The rest of the game was kind of like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It was like it is an admittedly tough forward, and I give them all the credit. 2 of the abilities that they grabbed on here are pretty close to the way they were written. Kind of dead abilities. We've talked about this before, where like you have something on the board, and if you really wanted to make the game simple, like abilities you would never play or just aren't inclined to play because they aren't efficient, you just put a sticker over them. So one of them was the Clash, and the Clash, the way it was written, said after you pop the ability, your opponent can trigger a Saga ability or use fatigue, and then after that, it comes to a close. You're closing the door after they've already gone through. So never use this one. Just never use this one. And now they've changed it to straight up you play it in melee, and it says your opponent cannot trigger any Saga ability during this melee. They do allow them to use your fatigue. That's fine. And they also throw you 1 attack and 1 defense dice. So that's quite a bit better than the way it was.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome. Yeah. That's just good. That's a good ability.
Just solid. Solid.
That's a common. That's a common up there.
I'd also sneak in there, if you're playing one of those boards that likes to stack, you could even use this, if they're stack and rack and they're going to do more than, say, 1 thing in melee, then you could use this defensively and just wreck that stack, and they'd see it parked and you'd be messing with them. They're like, okay, they're sweating. Yeah. I can only do 1 thing, and then after that, it'll all be shut down. Anyway,
that's good, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I really do like that. The second one that they fixed, what I would call a dead ability on this board too, Terror of the East, it had been written as an activation reaction for your mounted units. You're like, oh, okay, that's good. It used to say trigger after an enemy activation, but before it's resolved, activate one of your mounted units for a charge. The unit targeted by the charge gets 4 bonus defensive dice in the ensuing melee. So the problem with that, right, is just jumping out of us. If the unit you target can close ranks, and then they're going to have 4 bonus defensive dice, just, you're going to leave yourself busted. You're not going to do so. They changed it to trigger after the enemy activation before it's resolved. It is still a mounted unit. It says activate one of your units for a charge. If you're within M of the target, the charge unit gets 2 bonus defensive dice. So the key is to really do this is your mounted unit, don't be within M, and then you straight up get to do an activation reaction charge. No penalty.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's pretty big. And I mean, I know, like, there is a very engaged Polish, Poland. In Poland, they have lots of tournaments, lots of players, great painters. And, I'm sure they're pretty happy to see, a couple of these abilities, dialed up. And also anyone who thought about playing the Poles or painting the Poles, like now, I think they move from kind of like, to like, okay, you got a little something here to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Looks good. I think it's fair. Ability, I guess. Still 2 dice.
Yeah.
It has a possible drawback, so could have been a little bit better, but I think overall nothing to complain about there. I think both of those are obviously better than what they were compared to the Eastern Princes. They're sitting pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. And that's it though, Monty.
Yep, that's it.
The Wardenstadt was left out. Do you?
It's
what do you
fine.
think about that decision?
Yeah, that's fine. I can play him as Baltic, and I will say I would love to. Like I saw in some forums, someone was like, "I really like the Ordenstadt, and I have good luck with them." And I was like, "I want to meet you. I want to pick your brain." I mean, what am I missing? Anyway, it's fine. There's always future releases, so if you feel like your favorite warband is one of the bottom tier, they might still get to you.
It's right, yeah. This isn't going to be the last fact, so who knows?
Yeah.
Incrementally bringing them in, giving some love to those war bands. We don't see that much, so that's cool.
Yep.
Maybe that was it. Enough people are still actually playing Ordenstadt or using it at events. They can see people are using them, so they don't need to fix them.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, that's it for Crusades.
Mm-hmm.
And moving on at a steady clip here. Age of Magic. Now, I was surprised by this. I guess I didn't think we were going to see anything for Magic. I don't know why I thought that, but because they had a little back, before. Mm-hmm. But some balance stuff going on here.
Oh yeah,
and some of it is quite succulent.
yes, indeed.
Okay, well, let's do the undead first.
Yep.
Everybody didn't like these guys.
Oh,
for some reason. I thought they were okay. But the Black Knight, he's been modified to. I think, is that changed as once per turn? Is that the key thing?
Yeah, and for some reason, I could be wrong.
It's a distance. Has to be the medium.
Thank you.
Because that's what it is.
People who are using the, undead, warlord on a beast, or like just using it as a hammer, that he's out and far away from the Black Knight. I don't think there was a distance.
He's hunkered in the back.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Seriously, because that's a tough buff.
Yeah. He was a good hero.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to that conjurer. Yeah, it's still once per turn, but yeah. So, cool. I think that's fair. Keeps him. Got to keep him up in the fight. Thematically, he's close enough. Basically, it's like bodyguard rule. Instead of magically taking the hits somehow. But it's Age of Magic, I guess. So who are we to talk about the realism? So why don't we jump to those undead abilities then?
Yep.
So two of them reanimated here. Activates units for a movement or a charge now. It used to be an activation of your choice.
Correct.
And then the same thing was extended to their range. So this makes them more aggressive, I guess. You can't shoot. I know you could be a guy with a lot of bow warriors.
Agreed.
And you would be able to shoot 3 units of bow warriors with that ability previously, so it kind of just pushes it towards aggression. Which people like aggression, don't they, Monty?
Yeah, yes, I agree. I mean, when you're shot off the table in waves, it can be a little demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
Slows them down a little bit.
Yep. So it kind of pushes away from that build, which is kind of boring anyways. And then necromancy here.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this change a lot. Why don't you elaborate on that one?
So the key here is when you're doing your return mechanism, you can't be within S. And so that means if you charge and then you want to rebuild that unit, you wouldn't be able to do it because you're going to be within S unless you completely eliminated the enemy unit. And I'm just looking really fast. Is there any other than the distance, is there anything else?
I don't think that there is.
Yeah, I think it's just distance.
So, yeah, that's cool. I think that's fair. Just
Yeah.
kind of, before, it's all about hammering the one unit, so they couldn't use this. But now you're still like applying the pressure because you're putting multiple units against that unit. They got to clear them all out, or they got to move away before they can pop this. And I like it. I think it's fair.
Agree. Good one.
Yeah, and then they still have the Tide of Reanimation. That one is the same. No change.
Yep.
To that.
Yep.
I think that's it for the undead. Here.
That's it.
And then the big change, was the Horde, baby. Yeah. Made me liking this. Their hero got changed. War Chariots. They got Determination. So they were generating one Saga dice before. So it was kind of weird because you would just assume they had Determination, and probably a lot of games people were playing them with Determination. Yeah. Unless someone pointed out. Because I think, when they designed it, it's like a unit. It's not a character. So that's why it didn't have Determinate. Usually characters have it, but now they said, why not give it to it? I thought they were. I would definitely take both before if I was going to use them. So this just gives you more reason. Okay. I don't know. How did you rate the chariots before, Monty?
I had trouble keeping him alive after the first charge, but the first charge buffed with that +1, especially if you're hitting someone who can't close ranks, it could be pretty devastating. But I like the Determination. That's huge.
Yeah. And why don't you talk about those battle board changes, my man?
Yeah. Well. I wonder how many people will be ordering their Horde Warband after this one. This is some good stuff. So let the blood run. The change here is it used to be activate 2 units to charge. Now it's activate any number of your units for a charge. And go ahead, you could do the sound effect. Yeah. It's just up and down the line. Everybody, we're in.
Yeah, if you're mounted.
I like the way this is written, Rodge. None of them should have.
I know. I was going to mention that. It's okay if they do have more than one petite, but really they shouldn't.
But I mean that's aces on a common. Wow. I got to tell you, I mean, if you're going to be like, if you're under the gun and you're like, honey, can I go out for a game? It's just like, okay, but you only have an hour and a half. You'd be like, okay, I'm taking my Horde army.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the change people were looking for, but we're damn pleased to see it. That's cool. Yeah. And then the Rage.
Yep. So
Billy,
one more thing.
Change on that one.
They fixed your chariot. They let you charge everyone, and then Rage switched to gain 2 attack dice. Used to say 4 if you already have 12, but get this. They've switched it and said if you have at least 12 attack dice, add +1 to each of your attack dice. Oh, I like that a lot more. Yeah, that's that hammer blow. And then look out. So suppose you stack and rack with your war chariot with the +1 already, and then you get up above your 12, you're +2. I mean, it's not going to stand. It's going to just get blasted off the field.
Where's simpatico here? Monty, the +2. Not a lot of stuff can close ranks in the Age of Magic either, so something is taking a beat.
Yep.
With 12 attack dice. Hitting your Hearthguard on 3s before anything else. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Good for the Horde.
Yeah, good for the Horde.
Now, the Masters of the Under-Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be left out, but unfortunately, I don't think we're getting anything nearly as juicy here.
No.
The destruction teams are half of what they were now, I think. So basically, each one is like a quarter point. You remove 3 levy figures. I think you'd remove some warriors before. You still just have 2 of them, so I don't know, Monty. What'd you think of that? I think your issue with these wasn't the cost, but them getting blown up next to all your units.
They're so very tiny, and they dish fatigue, and then you got to feed them either a Weobay or a die to take a few plucky shots. Just seem very low efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I guess on top of that, though, they do get the experimental techniques. So shots of 6 or more inflict 2 hits instead of 1. And I think, I don't know the exact verbiage, but it clarified in the book that it wasn't 6s or more. It was just 6s previously. Right. And so I guess this language means if you have a +1 to hit with the war machine.
Yep.
So if you get
firearms or crossbow.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Or either one of those. Or is that guy throwing bombs? Does he get a +1 too?
I think he does, but I am rusty. I have not run Under Earth in forever. I think if it's in close, his bomb throwing gets a +1, but I'd really have to look. Okay. Yeah, worth a look.
A little better.
A little better. I like it.
Is it fine? It's worth it. So, but I think they could have done a little more with those guys, don't you, Monty?
Yeah, I struggle. I gave up on them. That doesn't mean that there isn't something under the hood there, but I tried big levy packs. I tried shooting. Just a little. I just couldn't quite get anything going with them, so kind of park them for now. But that's a couple buffs.
Definitely. This strengthen metal spell. Do you know the difference on that one?
No. I mean, I think the last part, it's in red, is the difference. It gets a +1. Yeah, but
so that could be an Under Earth. They can take lower metal.
Defensive dice. Okay. Yeah.
So
okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, before it was just a +1 bonus to defense dice during melees, and now it's a reroll as well.
Yep. So, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, with that reroll, that's pretty good actually.
Great. Stacking them.
Defense dice plus bonuses are good. So maybe the Under Earthers could utilize that one.
Yeah.
Who else gets metal though? The stupid Horde, do they get metal? I think they do.
That seems a little pejorative, the stupid Horde.
The stupid Horde. I think it's Horde that gets metal.
Yeah. My gosh, you're making me look in my book. It's late for reading.
I was really trying to avoid.
I know, right? I think, oh, come on. The more you want to find it, the harder it is. There it is. Yep. You are correct. So, the Horde gets it. Like, they need defensive buffs, right?
Yeah, you go in, cause all the damage.
Trying to stay alive? Yep.
Yeah, stay alive. Do it again.
Yeah.
You have to start with this short, but then They're going to end very far. Oh no, I can't do anything. Okay, we made it to the last one, Monty.
That's it.
Hannibal.
Got it.
Is this one just one page?
Yeah, it's short.
I like it. We've only got 5 minutes.
Right. Here. You lead, dude, because 5 minutes.
Okay. So there are some clarifications here, naturally. We got the base size for chariots. Yeah, there's some extra verbiage stuff that we can skip over. They did clarify each mercenary unit can only be recruited once. So that was a question that came up before, whether that was intentional or not.
Right.
So that's cool that at least they noted that and made a decision on it. So
yeah,
there won't be that outstanding question there.
Right.
The Sarissa verbiage was modified to make it similar to javelins, so they can bank those pokes for later in the turn. Romans, I guess one ability was weakened a little bit. If they're outnumbered on Tenacious, it's capped at 4. So before you could have one guy holding off the line and getting a bunch of attack dice.
Yeah. Although if your base is one,
I was going to say it doesn't really.
To be honest, Rodge, it's just small thing because we're almost out of time. I put these two abilities side by side, and I wonder if something was lost in translation. The only difference is the word "up" is missing out of here. It used to say up to a maximum of 4 dice, and now it just says to a maximum of 4 dice. I'm like, so what's the difference of up to and just anyway? So looks pretty much the same to me. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm missing it.
I guess it clarifies that it's attack dice.
Oh, okay.
Versus dice equal to the difference. So yeah, actually no change there.
Yep, it does. Attack
Good
dice
point.
is the other word.
Thanks for
attack
bringing
dice,
that up, buddy.
There we go.
Okay, so that one is a legitimate clarification. Not really a change in anything.
Yep.
Coordination looks like the difference for Iberians is it has to be, instead of just a mounted unit, it has to be a Hearthguard or Warriors mounted. Is that the only?
Right. And so then I was trying to think, was there a levy mounted Iberian? Mercenary, maybe.
Because mercenaries, mercenaries are Hearthguards or Warriors.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Interesting. So, my buddies never sussed that out. They never broke that on me, so I didn't catch it. But yeah, that's a clarification. Good point.
Yeah. I mean, so you didn't see anything else different about that one?
No, but I think that's exactly it. That word went from mounted to Hearthguard and Warrior mounted. So by exclusion, it has to be levy or mercenary. And since there aren't any, other than, levy Huns, there aren't any mounted levy, then it must be mercenaries.
Well, if anybody can suss out anything about that we're missing there, please post in the comments. And then I guess for the Gauls, before the wave was clarified to be a foot unit only, without ranged weapons. So I think this is Andy Lyons. Key to victory, according to the Saga Ohio podcast review.
Yep.
Getting mounted Hearthguard out there.
With 8 shots, and then pull them back.
Scooting back, so it's got to be some foot sloggers, at least. So, but
makes sense.
So just real minor stuff there.
Yeah, very minor.
I guess the guerrilla though ability with the Iberians, they just clarified that you can rest. So
because they need more options.
Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah. There was no change there.
Agree.
But, I guess it's still early times, and hopefully we can get these on a more regular basis. But I don't know. Stuff doesn't change that quickly in Saga, anyways. So
right.
We made it. We made it 2 years. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yes,
so
we
maybe
did.
2023 before the next one, but nothing with Age of Invasions on here. So it looks like everything was printed correctly. That nothing required immediate revision, so that's good. But yeah, I think that's it for now.
That's it.
Monty, we just passed 1 hour exactly.
Ta-da. Right on the button. Good job, Rodge.
Yeah, good deal here. So yeah, all the fact changes going on. I guess I would love to hear what people are excited about. If this is going to change the models they're building, if they're going to start a new warband, maybe anything like that. I would love to hear it. What are the missed opportunities? I think you and I could probably muse for like hours on this, so I didn't want to keep dwelling into that. But
agree.
Any faction we could think about, we could brainstorm a few changes. But anyways, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did they hit a home run? Did they drop the ball? Do we need fact 2022 already? I don't know. And yeah, good discussions with you again, Monty. And we'll come back next month and do it again.
Yeah.
So there could be some cool stuff coming up, I will say. We might talk about scenarios. Finally, I think this is the second or third or fourth time I wanted to talk about scenarios. Maybe we'll finally get to it. Maybe we'll have to push it back to January. I just don't know. Who knows what'll come up? But always love chatting with you, buddy. And thanks for listening, everybody. Subscribe and like and all that stuff. We'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
See ya.
Saga!